Greetings comic book fans and welcome to my comic book reviews for the 4th week of March 2015. 22 books to get through this week. I'm going to be doing it a bit different. We're going to start off with Marvel. I'm going to review the books from Marvel. Then I'm going to review the books I picked up from the Independents. Then it will be the books from DC Comics, because there was a lot of DC comic books this week. And then we're going to go with Pick of the Week and end it, as always, with Company of the Week. So, we've got a lot to get to. 22 books to review. So without further ado, let's get to those reviews. So, 5 books from Marvel this week, which is a small number usually. The biggest part of my haul is Marvel, but it was smaller this week. So we're going to kick things off in a galaxy far, far away and a long time ago with Star Wars Darth Vader issue number 3. I enjoyed this. I did. It seems to me an interesting direction that they're taking the book, in that we're kind of like Darth Vader setting the characters that we know in Luke and Han and Leia. Darth Vader's kind of setting up his dark version of that. You've got Boba Fett, who's kind of the dark version of Han Solo. You've got a dark version of Chewbacca in that Wookiee we met at the end of issue 1. This issue introduces 2 droids who are the dark versions of C-3PO and R2-D2, and then another female character who could be the dark version of Princess Leia, and then of course Vader's the dark version of Luke. So it's very interesting how he's put this team together that are the dark versions of the characters we know and love, and it'll be interesting where we take the story now. So that was good. The art here is superb. It does at times doesn't feel Star Warsy enough, and I think some of it as well. I didn't think Darth Vader would be as patient as he is with this female character whose name at the moment escapes me. You know, that's not Vader. Patience isn't something that Vader does, and I would have thought they'd at least force choked her once. But so yeah, uncharacteristically good tempered was Vader. The story itself I enjoyed. Like I say, it didn't totally feel Star Warsy, but it's a nice setup, and I'm interested now he's got this team together where we're going to go from here. Good issue. I'm going to give Darth Vader issue number 3 4 stars out of 5. We then have Inhuman issue number 13, and things are really picking up this issue. We saw the separation of Black Bolt and Medusa last issue. This issue, Lineage takes his chance, puts his plan into motion, and now he sees the time to strike, and there's some really big moments here. Before all that kicks off though, we have a nice moment with Gorgon and the new Inhumans chilling, which is really cool, and to get to see them having a bit of fun, that was nice for a change. The art, I kind of am a bit, like a lot of books this week, I'm a bit conflicted on. I like the colours gave the book slightly a different feel, but the characters didn't feel quite like they should. Like we've got Medusa here, and I don't know, I've seen different artists draw her, and it just didn't feel quite like Medusa, so wasn't too sure about the art. But the story itself is really strong. The last page is a doozy, and this book feels like it's really picking up the pace, and I'm going to give Inhuman issue number 13 4 stars out of 5. So moving right along, we have a Deathlok issue number 6. In the corner it's got Avengers Now. I thought that was going to be an actual book, because we had that image of like Deathlok as part of the Avengers, but I think they were just for the Ranger books they were bringing out, because we never actually got to see the Avengers Now. But anywho, getting into this book, Deathlok now, since he was shot by Domino, now knows that he's Deathlok, and JJ, his handler, is kind of like, he can hear her now, and she's like, you've got to keep this. They will take you away. They will take your daughter away and kill both of you, because they don't want this getting out. So you've got to go along that you're still under our control. So it's a really interesting kind of issue. As can Henry Hayes keep it together, or are they going to get suspicious that he is now conscious of this voice in his head? So yeah, really interesting issue. We can see already as well, it's a bit sinister with what they've done to his daughter, as that kind of comes out this issue. We have a badass Maria Hill moment as she declares war on biotech after they kidnapped that Agent Hope last issue, and erased some of her memories. So, you know, everything feels like it's really picking up, and I'm really enjoying this book. My only kind of gripe would be the art. I think Mike Perkins has done a great job with this book, but I don't know if this issue was rushed or what, but it's just some of the faces, and it's a minor quibble because mainly the art is good, but if you look at Maria Hill there, it looks like she's just had a stroke. Up here, that picture there. So yeah, so that's my only real gripe with the book. Otherwise, I feel this is becoming a really good book, really interesting direction, and I give Deathlok issue number 6 4 stars out of 5. So, turning the page in my book of notes, we have next up Daredevil issue number 14. This is a very interesting direction that Wade and Samney are taking Daredevil in, as he has this conversation with Kirsten's dad about why does he wear the mask, and it kind of makes him realize that it used to be to keep his identity under wraps, but now he doesn't need one. And so we get this new look Daredevil, you know, the red suit and everything, and yeah, and it really it fits in because he's in California. It kind of fits in and works for him. So that's really interesting. The direction that they're taking the character in is really interesting. We then have kind of tying into the Shroud. He comes back into it, and the Owl's daughter shows up, and I'm just the whole book was just an absolute joy. And you know, bad things are happening to the Owl, as like this is like when they find him, and it is really bad. But I really liked the team up with Daredevil and the Owl's daughter. I thought that was really good. The art throughout here by Samney, he is without a doubt my favourite artist. I just love how he draws everything. All in all, this was just a really good book. It had moments of laughter, that, you know, fun, but then there was an interesting story developing and characters going in interesting directions. Yeah, this is just really great, and I'm going to give Daredevil issue number 14 5 stars out of 5. And our final Marvel book this week, it is New Avengers issue number 32. One great thing about Jonathan Hickman is, while he can lose you sometimes with his stories, his ideas are so big, and they can make you feel a bit stupid because it's sometimes a bit difficult to follow. One great thing with him is his attention to detail, that he won't leave a plot thread hanging, and you think, well, that plot thread went nowhere. With this, he picks up at this issue, we're kind of picking up one of those threads, and that is the multiversal Avengers, and we get to follow what happened to them as they have kind of gone to find the Ivory Kings, the Beyonders, and to stop them. And this is their final showdown with those Beyonders, as we get to see what happens to the Ivory Kings, to the Multiversal Avengers, sorry. Fantastic issue, great battle. There's some really great character moments that I just absolutely loved. The art here by Mike Diagato is just stunning. All in all, a really good issue, and I give New Avengers issue number 32 5 stars out of 5. So those are my Marvel books for the week. Next up, I'm going to review the indie books that I picked up this week. So we are now with the indie books for this week. I've got 6 books to get through. We've got Valiant, we've got Titan Comics, we've got Oni Press, and we've got Image. First off, we're going to kick it off with Valiant, and we have Quantum and Woody Must Die, issue number 3. These are probably my least favourite Valiant characters. Probably more Woody than Quantum. I don't mind Quantum. I could quite get behind a character like Quantum. I think he's an interesting character. But Woody, I just think every way I read him, he's really dislikable. And I just can't understand the popularity of the character, you know, because he's so dislikable. Yeah, I think I've said that, haven't I? But yeah, this issue is the 3rd issue of 4, as they do. And I like Valiant's kind of method of doing 4 issues for a story. It keeps the story moving forward. So even if you're not enjoying it, you know it isn't going to go on forever. This issue, we get the final showdown with Terminal, this kind of guy who was disfigured by Quantum and Woody, and all these other people that want him dead have been kind of injected with superpowers. So they're all kind of trying to take out Quantum and Woody, and just like, look, when things have kind of been done and solved, there's a nice little twist at the end. I enjoyed the story overall. I still strongly dislike Woody, but I did find the quantum stuff very interesting and very good. We get the final showdown, so it feels like we're getting to the end, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the fallout next issue. And I'm going to give Quantum and Woody Must Die issue number 3 3 stars out of 5. Moving on next to Doctor Who, 11th Doctor, issue number 10. Can't believe we're on issue 10 already. It doesn't seem that long ago. You know, issue 1 came out. I can remember it was when me and my wife went to Cardiff, and we went to the Doctor Who experience, and they had the comic there, and I remember kind of remember looking at it, and that was the first when I first started because I'd never really enjoyed a Doctor Who comic, so I was kind of a bit apprehensive about picking it up, but then I decided I was going to pick it up. So yeah, and that doesn't feel like 10 months ago. Wow, time just flies, doesn't it? But anyway, this issue I enjoyed in the main. I thought there was a lot of good ideas here. The Doctor has been turned. He is now working for this UServe company, and he has kind of like got everything that he wants. So he's kind of become this brainwashed employee, and he's the CEO of the company, and he's created these beings called the Cancellors. And if anybody creates music or stories or poems that he basically sends the Cancellors in to kind of take that idea from a person's mind. So Alice is dressed up now. She's the Doctor, and she's got a trusty sidekick. What's his Zavi Moonburst, I think he calls himself, which is Jones. There he is, yeah, Zavi Moonburst, and there's Alice as the Doctor, and they basically are going around saving people from the Cancellors. But then they decide to really do something. They need to save the Doctor. I enjoyed the story. Like I say, I thought there were some very good ideas here. I just feel there was something lacking. Somehow it just didn't all gel together, and it was lacking. And maybe this is one of those times where the story could have been spread and explored a bit deeper. I don't know, but there just seemed to be something lacking, even though there's some good ideas. I really like how the companion Alice steps up, and she really repays the Doctor's trust in her. All in all, I really enjoyed this, and I'm going to give Doctor Who 11th Doctor issue number 10 4 stars out of 5. Next up we have The Bunker issue number 10. This issue was a bit of a disconnect at first because I opened it up, I don't recognise these characters, and I was like, different artist. I was checking, have they given me the wrong book? But no, it's The Bunker. And then I looked on the inside cover, and it explains there that we've got about this is the look at the rest of the world when they discovered the world was going to kind of be messed up. So we're getting the future view of regular people that are affected by what our characters do. So yeah, the story was good. I liked the characters. I thought they were very engaging and instantly kind of likable. In that they were so ordinary, you know, and I think that was the thing that made this work. And the look at this world was interesting. It doesn't blow you away, but it was very interesting, and I think having a different artist on it was a clever idea. The art is still good, but it is very, very different to what we're used to. But yeah, I found it interesting. I'm going to give The Bunker issue number 10. I'm going to give it 3 stars out of 5. So now on to Image. We have from Image issue number 5 of the Autumnlands, Tooth and Claw. Oh wow, this was excellent. I absolutely love this issue. Everything is developing nicely. We've got Sandos making plans and starts to move up as you know, we have what are their names? The Hog, Gertha, I think it is, and Jaffa thrown into prison, or a prison that they've made. We have that Coyote with her plan, kind of scheming still, playing both sides. We have the Bison kind of accepting the champion's challenge, but looking to set up a trap. We have Leroy, the champion, who's kind of seeing everything that's going on, and he's obviously got a plan. There's a lot of good stuff here, and it really is building nicely, and I'm super excited for next issue. I also love the art. The art here is just great, but I also really love how each issue they kind of throw in a page like this that just comes out of nowhere. That just really works well in translating some of the story. All in all, this is a really good book. If you've not been reading it, next month or the month after, they should be bringing out the trade, the first trade of this. I definitely recommend picking it up because it has been an excellent story. And I give the Autumnlands Tooth and Claw issue number 5 stars out of 5. Next up, we have They're Not Like Us issue number 4, Dreams of Children. This issue, we've kind of seen that these people that are like, it's this book, for anyone who doesn't know, first of all, it's kind of like the X-Men, but what if Professor Xavier had been a really evil, manipulative kind of person, and the X-Men didn't want to help everybody, they just wanted to help themselves and live this quiet life and use their abilities and stuff. That's what you'd get with this book, and they've kind of just ended the first issue. The shock was they want Sid to kill her parents because they're the so nobody will keep looking for her, and that nobody will come and find them. So we've kind of got this image of the characters kind of are quite callous, but we get to see this issue that there's an impact on these characters for killing their parents, and that there are consequences to their actions. And they aren't these happy-go-lucky, callous kind of people. And there's actually a bit more depth to them there, which is really interesting. The more we learn about the Voice, the more sinister he becomes. I find Maisie a very interesting character. Her ability is she's a precog, she can see into the future. So I find her very interesting, and I'm very curious to her path in the story. We get to see like this cop and the nurse talking about when Sid was kidnapped, and something interesting's going on there. All in all, the story, like I say, is really beginning to pick up. Sid is a bit rebellious, as she really doesn't like the rules that the Voice kind of throws down. So we're building to possibly a confrontation there. Possibly not, as we see the events unfold this issue. But yeah, I just really enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun, really interesting, and I just have no idea where we're going to go with the story. And I'm going to give They're Not Like Us issue number 4 5 stars out of 5. So our final indie book this week, it is Wytches issue number 5. I really enjoyed this. It is a really terrifying book, tense, has you on the edge of your seat. Sailor has been pledged to these witches, and she's been taken, and they're getting her ready to eat. Charlie wants to find his daughter, but his wife no longer remembers they had a daughter. Luckily he got that list, and he finds out that this policeman's on the list. So the policeman comes round to see if he can be any help, and Charlie makes him show him where the witches are, and he's going to get his daughter back. Once again, Scott Snyder kind of joins that up with these glimpses into the past, into something that happened in the past between Sailor and her father Charlie. That kind of adds a lot more emotional depth to the current story we're following, and so that works brilliantly. All the way through, we don't lose no momentum. It's terrifying all the way through, and you're at the edge of your seat. It is just absolutely brilliant. I just really enjoyed that. The only thing that I feel that lets the book down is the colouring. I don't know if it's the art or the colouring, but you know, it's not so bad when we have the flashback scenes. It's less pronounced and the story's clearer. But when we're on the rest of the story, we have these kind of colour splodges. I don't know if you can see them on it, kind of like glare, and I don't like them. The reason I personally don't like them, I think using it, like for example, I think it was last issue when Sailor wakes up in the tree and she's trying to figure out where she is. I think having them for a scene like that kind of is good, because it adds to you feel the confusion that the character's feeling, because you can't make out where this is either. But I think having it all the way through the book is overkill. And the reason I don't like it is because I suffer from migraines. And when I have a migraine, I get like these flashes in front of my eyes. They call aura. And it's like this in front of your eyes, and it slowly moves to the side. And it lasts for about half an hour. And it is horrible, and you kind of can see, but you can't see because you've got this flashing in front of your eye, and it kind of reminds me of that. So that's why I think I have such strong feelings against it and why I probably feel so strongly. But the story itself is excellent. We get another great essay in the back from Snyder, which I'm just really enjoying reading them every time. They're really great. And he seems a really great bloke. It's amazing the kind of things his mind conjures up, considering he's so great. But yeah, this book all in all, I really enjoyed, and I'm going to give Wytches issue number 5 4 stars out of 5. So those are the indie books this week. And next up, I'm going to review the books I picked up from DC Comics. So we are now with DC Comics. 10 books to review. It's insane. Some weeks I have like no DC books except for the weeklies, and then another week I've got 10. It is insane how it rolls. First off, very sadly, the final issue, Batman and Robin, issue 40. I've loved Tomasi and Gleason's run on this book. Tomasi just writes them so well, and him and Gleason have made a great team on the book, and this has been one of my favourite Batman books consistently, and it's a shame that it's coming to an end, just as they get Damian back. This concludes the story arc with Damian having powers, and there's a major development with that this issue. So if you kind of are interested in the Robin character, this is definitely a must-read. We start off with the mission that Damian has gone on with the Justice League. There's a really cool, badass moment where Damian and Shazam team up to defeat this giant robot, which is just awesome. We then get like the fallout of that. Again, the dynamic between Damian, Bruce, and Alfred is written terrifically. And the end is just lovely. It's just the way Tomasi writes it all. It's just beautiful. And yeah, you know, it warms the cockles of your heart. And yeah, I really enjoyed this issue. It was kind of that bittersweet thing because you know this is the last issue. I think we're getting an annual next week. I'm not sure if Tomasi writes the annual, but we're getting an annual next week. But it is sad to know that this isn't going to be something I'm going to be able to look forward to each month. But I'm going to give Batman and Robin issue number 40, the final issue, I'm going to give it 5 stars out of 5 because it was a really good book. We then have Arkham Manor issue number 6, also the final issue. When I started picking this book up, it felt like a mini-series. Just from the concept, I didn't think it was the kind of concept that would support an ongoing series. In a way, I wish that I'd have known, because I probably would have saved money and waited for the trade. I felt this issue ends the series strongly. It wraps everything up nicely. The art I found a bit mixed on. I like the how it's coloured and how it looks. It looks different than a lot of other Batman books, but there's times when, like, you know, here things just don't look right. The way the character's moving don't look right and don't work for me. I did feel the story itself though was good, and it wraps things up well, and there's a real nice Bruce moment at the end, and this like doctor, this guy, this Arkham guy, this doctor, there's something about him, so I don't know if we're going to come back to that, because there's definitely something about him, but I'm going to give Arkham Manor issue number 6 4 stars out of 5. Good conclusion. We then have Batman 66 issue number 21, and this was really good. We have a character here, Lord Deathman. I'm sure I've heard that name before. I think I had this recollection of there being some manga Batman, and that maybe Lord Deathman was one of the characters from that, but I might be wrong. But if I am right on that, it's cool that they're bringing him into this series. It was nice having Batman team up with Batgirl for a change. That was a real nice thing, and I liked how they kind of got Robin out of there. I really liked the whole idea of the story and the direction with Lord Deathman, and he seemed a really interesting character. Wasn't too keen on the end. I wish they kind of left things a bit more open. But all in all though, I thought this was a fun story, and I give Batman 66 issue number 21 4 stars out of 5. So next up we have Gotham by Midnight issue number 5. This concludes the first story arc. Real sad consequences to getting things to end the right way. While it's sad to see the consequences because we've been introduced to these characters now, at the same time it's nice that we have a book that kind of says, well, yeah, you can have this, but the consequences are gonna be big. The art here is brilliant. I'm going to really miss Templesmith on this book. It's just such a unique looking book. It's super cool seeing the Spectre again. We even have a cameo from Batman. You know, the art here just really worked for me. Really liked it. And like I say, look, we get a nice cameo from Batman as well. It's going to feel a totally different book with a different artist. But I'm still interested in where we're going to go from here. It's going to be interesting. I have enjoyed the book so far. Like I say, it is going to feel a different book with a different artist on it. But yeah, wraps things up nicely. And I'm going to give Gotham by Midnight. I was going to say Batman by Midnight. It's Gotham by Midnight, issue number 5. I'm going to give 4 stars out of 5. Next up, we have The Flash, issue number 40. This is the variant cover, the movie cover. I really enjoyed this issue. They wrap things up really nicely. We've got our 2 stories that kind of come together nicely here. There's consequences to what's happened. Again, is something that I always really like in comics. It makes it feel more authentic, because that's life. There's always consequences to every action we make. And it's nice to see that sometimes played out in comics. So I think you can get a lot of drama from that. The last page is great. Real doozy. And the art all the way through this is just stunning. There are some great moments here, art-wise. Brett Booth is on top form. You know, there's some great moments. I'm trying to find this, like, oh yeah, here is one of the great moments we get. Art wise, it's just brilliant. Story wise, it's brilliant. Really enjoying this. Very satisfying conclusion to this story arc, and sets up some nice things for the future. I'm going to give Flash issue 40 5 stars out of 5. Next up, we have Aquaman issue number 40, which is I got the variant cover. It is the final part of Maelstrom. It does feel a bit rushed. The story, like I say, is all action, but it does feel rushed. It would have been nice if we'd have had a bit longer for Aquaman, just to spend a bit of time with his mother before things moved on. But everything seemed a bit rushed. I did like the end and how we wrapped things up. That was really good. But it felt like Jeff Parker was like, oh damn, I've got to the end of the things, I've got to fit everything in. And there was kind of that feel. I felt the art this issue, I do like Petitier's art, but I felt this issue was even better than usual. There were some really great moments here. Really good moments in the book, as we get a lot of action, which I don't know. Is that easier to draw action, or is it easier to draw characters kind of sitting around? But yeah, there's some great moments here. I enjoyed the book. Really great end to a great story. Gonna miss Jeff Parker on the book, but I am looking forward to seeing what Cullen Bunn's gonna bring, and I give Aquaman issue 40 4 stars out of 5. Next up, we have Deathstroke issue number 6. Again, this looks a great book, and there's a lot of action, a lot of violence. It wraps that kind of whole thing up with Odysseus and Deathstroke. It wraps that story up nicely. I did find the latter half of the book very confusing. I think I'm going to have to go through this arc again, because there was a lot here that I just didn't get. I felt the art was tremendous throughout this, and it looks a really great book. Just at times the story's getting a bit convoluted for my liking. Hopefully when it comes back we're going to pick things up better. But I'm going to give issue 6 of Deathstroke 3 stars out of 5. Our final monthly book before we get to the weeklies is the Multiversity Ultra Comics, issue number 1. And I did not heed the warning, you must not read this comic. This book was very interesting. I don't think I've ever read a book like this. A very interactive book, as it kind of makes you the hero. By reading it, you're the hero, you're making these events happen. Yeah, I really loved it. I'm looking forward to rereading it, because I'm sure on rereads that it's going to take on a different kind of connotation, a lot of the stuff in the book. I really enjoyed this. I thought Doug Mackey's art was great. The story was kind of a bit out there. I don't even know if there was a story to this, other than like It, I think if you read this on its own, you'd be a bit lost, and it would make no sense, and you'd point out all the weaknesses of it, and that it's probably very self-indulgent type of book. But when you've read the other Multiversity books, and all the way through, you've had this book kind of mentioned all the way through, then it kind of takes on a different kind of understanding with you, if I'm saying that right. But yeah, very interesting book. A very interesting book. I am looking forward to rereading this and just seeing how it all sits once I've reread it. But yeah, a lot of big ideas. I did enjoy this. It had a very unique feel, and I'm going to give it 5 out of 5. Just for the fact of, I just love a book that has the balls to take a big chance and to try something really different. And I, for one, I enjoyed it. I'm not sure how much there was to the story, but I'm going to reread it, and hopefully it'll sit with me better. But I just love the idea of this book, and I'm going to give it 5 out of 5. So finally, we're going to do our 2 weekly books. I'm going to do them last, the next 2, this week and next week, because we're the last 2 issues. So I'm going to give it kind of main event billing, if you will. So we're going to kick things off with Future's End, issue 47. And that thing I said I didn't want to happen, it happened. We have a character go back in time here and kind of change everything, which is interesting in the one way, because he goes back in time to stop Brother Eye. But if Brother Eye doesn't exist and they use Brother Eye to defeat Brainiac, does that mean that Brainiac actually got part of New York now because they weren't able to stop him? You know? And then you've got the whole thing of like characters are going to be in different places now because there was no Brother Eye, there was no War of Worlds, so the future is all going to be different. I don't like the whole reset button thing, because it's like, I've spent money, I've followed this story for a year, I've grew to care and like these characters, and now you're saying to me it's never happened. I was a bit annoyed with myself because the last page got me hooked. I want to see what the character is seeing, and I want to see what's happened, because there's so many possibilities of how he could have changed the future. So yeah, I felt a bit of a sucker that I was still wanting to see the next issue despite them duping me and doing this time travel bullshit. There were some really good moments though. While I'm not keen on the process they used to sort things out, I think it was done as well as it could be done. I also really like the moment between Tim and Madison as they just put all the crap behind them and just let their feelings out for each other, which was really great to see. I did feel there were too many artists on the book. That did hurt the story. But all in all, I think while I'm not a fan of the overall device that they used to kind of wind things up, I think it was done as well as it could be done, and that last page still really grabbed me. And I'm going to give Future's End issue 47, let me check, 4 stars out of 5. So our final DC book of the week, it is Batman Eternal issue number 51, and certainly the last couple of issues this has really picked up. Last issue we learned who the big bad was. This issue we spend most of the time as the big bad explains how he pulled this off, and that's like a tried old trope in comics. But this is one of those rare times where it's justified. Like, Batman totally underestimated this villain, and he now has his moment in the sun to kind of glow. I beat you. I did what all these other great villains couldn't do. I beat you. So yeah, so it felt justified for him to do that. We get introduced to another character by the end of the issue who I thought was the original big bad, and I'm kind of was a bit confused at the end. Was that character the big bad, or was the first character the big bad? So hopefully that's going to be clarified next week, because I kind of took it when that other character came in, and I'm trying to be vague because I don't want to spoil it for people, but when that other character come in at the end, I kind of took it that he'd been in on the plan with this first guy, but that he just sat back and let them go and do everything, and now he's taking advantage because Batman's in a precarious situation, so he's stepping forward now because he wants to be the one to finish Batman. That's how I took it, but it might be he was the big bad all along and this other character was taking the credit. I don't know. I felt the scene with Spoiler, I didn't like that. It felt totally out of character what happens with her in this issue, so that wasn't good. Alvaro Martinez does the art here, and I really liked the art. I thought, I was going to show some images, but I don't want to spoil it because it's a weekly, and maybe some people haven't read it yet, and you know, I don't want to spoil who the big bad is. Though it might have already been spoiled out there, but I don't want it to come from me. So yeah, other than that, I'm really enjoying it. This is, it lost so much momentum through those weeks where we had those bad issues that felt like stalling, but it's really picked up the momentum brilliantly the last 2 issues, and I'm really excited to see how it's all going to finish up. And I'm going to give Batman Eternal issue number 51 4 stars out of 5. So next up, it is pick of the week. So without further ado, my pick of the week this week is The Valiant, issue number 4 from Valiant Comics, written by Jeff Lemire and Matt Kindt, with art by Paulo Rivera. This was just a fantastic conclusion to what's a fantastic series. I've really gone cold on events. I find with Marvel and DC, even though they might have good moments, I can't remember the last time I read an event that I enjoyed all the way through, or that felt like a whole story and a setup for something else. What this book does so well is it concludes this current story in a unique and interesting way, but at the same time it leaves a few pieces out there as consequences from this story that are going to push new stories forward. So I think they get it right. They get what an event should be and what it should be used for, but that what it should still give you is, while that it does push new stories forward, it should still be its own story, and this is what it does well. The book has got the hardcover again, so it makes it feel special, and the fact that we've got like book 4, and then in the back we've got, not as good as last issues, but we've got some like special features in the back, which is really cool. Story, like I say, wraps up things really nicely. Everything kind of really tied up nice, and was a really enjoyable story, and I'm super intrigued to see where some of the characters go and what this means for some of the characters by the end of the story. A really good book. Really enjoyed it. If I go on, I'm going to say really a lot. So there's not much more I can really say about it. I just thought this was just the way you do an event. I think the 4 issues keeps the story moving all the way along. There's no filler. There's not a panel wasted at all in this book. And yeah, it was a really great conclusion to what's been a really great event. And I make The Valiant issue number 4 my pick of the week. Well, here we are at the end of the video, and that means it's time for Company of the Week. What's it going to be this week? We had a massive haul this week from DC. 10 books from DC, yet only 5 from Marvel. Is those smaller numbers going to help Marvel get better rating? Then you've got the Indies. This week they had the pick of the week with The Valiant. Is that going to help propel them up and give them a stronger week? So, drum roll please. Without further ado, let's go. In 3rd place for Company of the Week this week, we have the Indies with an average rating of 4.1. Despite getting the pick of the week with The Valiant, they had 2 books that only got 3. Which, 3's not a bad rating, but it gave them 3rd place for Company of the Week. In 2nd place is DC Comics, or should that be our DC Comics, with a rating of 4.2 per book. So those bigger numbers didn't help DC, as they only got 4.2. So, of course, it should be obvious now, the Company of the Week for the 4th week of March 2015 are Marvel Comics with an average rating of 4.4 per book. So yeah, so this week Marvel, I may have got less, but I got quality over quantity. So that's everything really done for me this week now. I will be back next Wednesday with a haul video. It's a smaller week for me this week. I think I'm getting 14, maybe 16 books, somewhere in that ballpark. So it'd be nice to have fewer books. I love my comics, but it's nice to have those smaller weeks so you can do other stuff and read other books. I've got those back issues of Batgirl to read. I've still got a bunch of Miss Marvel back issues to read. So, and I'm still trying to finish Game of Thrones. So hopefully all those things will come together with a smaller week. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please give me those beautiful thumbs up. Let me know you like what I'm doing. If you agree or disagree with anything I've said, please feel free to leave comments below. As I've said, I will be back next week. Not sure yet when the review video next week will be up. Hopefully I'll have a clear review to that when I do my haul video. Leaves me to say thank you for watching. I've been Jason. This has been my comic review video for the 4th week of March 2015. Bye for now.